Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. This morning we are looking at Ancient Age Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. 80 proof these days, used to be higher. There's still a 90 proof version, however, that you may or may not see. We don't see it. Introduced in 1936. Now the company says 1946. I wrote them an email with attachments, and I had very clear evidence that they were wrong, that it was not 1936. Was not 1946, but 1936. And they said to me, well, how do you know that? I said, I have a lot of evidence, which I sent. They never changed it. Doesn't matter. I mean, 1936, 1946, who cares? Most people don't even care about Ancient Age. They drank it, maybe, because it's cheap, but all right. Now, I did write an email once to Anheuser-Busch InBev. Well, yeah, Anheuser-Busch, the subsidiary, the wholly owned subsidiary of InBev. And I told them, I said, why do you say Bud Ice was introduced in 1984? It was definitely not introduced until 94. Oh, they wrote me back, oh, no, well, how do you know this? And I said, well, I have documents, published by Anheuser-Busch that clearly says 1994, and I had other evidence. They did write me an email back, and they said, oh, yes, we made a mistake. We'll fix it. And then in about a day, it was updated to 94. So some companies are responsive. They get it. They will correct things if the consumer lets them know. Others are aloof, indifferent, and just odd companies. All right. I think Sazerac makes very good products, but something like that is an example to me of sort of a clueless approach as it concerns certain things. Just saying. All right. So 1936, no matter what the company says, basically the point I'm making. And Speckled introduced in 2017 by Caribbean Distillers of Auburndale, Florida, 80 proof, American whiskey. That's all it says, American whiskey. Doesn't have an age statement. That means it's aged a minimum of 4 years. It doesn't talk about a ratio, a blend ratio. So that means it's pure whiskey, no grain neutral spirits. There's no coloring statement, additive statement. So it's just straight whiskey. I can't use the word straight because that's a legal term. It's pure whiskey with no colorings added. Ancient Age is likewise pure with no colorings added. Now, some other differences. Ancient Age is sour mash whiskey. Says right there, genuine sour mash. Nice little kind of a matte finish here on the label with the filigreed writing, like you can feel it. Aged at least 36 months, okay? There's the statement. That is a law. If whiskey is aged less than 4 years, it must give an age statement. That is the labeling law. Has won many awards, and it says, has been branded America's best bourbon. It has been. Now, it might have been in 1951, but, you know, that did happen. Okay, Ancient Age Distilling Company, rich history, first established at Old Leestown Settlement, an early transportation center in Frontier, Kentucky. Clear limestone water and accessible trade routes make the area perfect for making whiskey. Well, of course, today, even when it was established in 1936, you know, it was highway transport. You know, they had highways being built. It wasn't like a wagon trail. From the very first barrel, Ancient Age was known for its fine, smooth, mellow whiskey, beginning a tradition of excellence that continues to this day. Well, that is true. It is smooth and mellow. And it was bought out by Sazerac like so many others. I think it was established by Barton Distilling, one of those acquisitions. Speckled tail, you know, it's kind of just a glossy, flat label, like cheaper label. Pretty bottle though, and it had a nice cap, neck, and all of that. So it's not just, doesn't just scream cheap, cheap, cheap. Tried and true recipes that date back to the late 1800s. Distilled and aged with care in American oak barrels. Doesn't say much else. Embodies the freedom of the frontier, but I guess the Florida frontier, talking about like in the 1820s when Florida was mostly unsettled by the white man. You know how these companies write stuff. They may not even think it through when they write it, this promotional material. Oh, well. So a straight bourbon whiskey versus a quasi you know what? A quasi bourbon. In other words, legally not a bourbon. I think I made a mistake. So busy ranting and raving about the history, I put it in the wrong glasses. This is Speckled tail. That's Ancient Age. Because Speckled tail is clearly darker, you can see that. Ancient, I just started pouring it right. Ancient Age, it's light amber or amber, and Speckled tail is more of a dark. Didn't get enough sleep last night. Couldn't get to sleep. Got agitated by a meeting. Somebody says, the administrator says, we're gonna have a short meeting. I said, this is not a good night. I have to go back to work to do something, and plus I wanted to get to sleep to do this, but that's a hobby, you know, but still, oh no, 2 or 3 minutes, she said, 2 or 3 minutes. Now, you might have noticed in your life, administrators have no concept of time, unless it's their time, but they have no concept of time. 2 or 3 minutes, in my case, last night turned out to be 25 minutes, and I'm thinking, wow, this person talks so slow and deliberate. What we're gonna do, and I'm thinking 2 or 3 minutes, that is impossible. And I just told you it is not a good time for me, and you told me, okay, I guarantee it's gonna be short, and it's not. So those kind of things just put me on edge to no end. I can't stand it. Drives me crazy. Like when I was a school teacher, they said, we're gonna have a short faculty meeting. You just know it's not gonna be short. And you just know there's going to be those same teachers bringing up every question you could ever think of that no one cares about. And they're going to always entertain them instead of just saying, we're not going to entertain it. So I retired. I'm out of it. I'm out of the prison. So, well, I say that. Actually, schools are run like prisons. Okay, so let's keep that in mind that I made a mistake on the mixing. But I'll just... when I check the labels, it'll be reversed. Okay. It's going to be pretty easy, I think, because Ancient Age is sourdough, sour mash, and that sour mash whiskey. I know it's a process. It's like a priming process to get the whiskey going and all of that, but it just gives it like a sourdough flavor, like you're eating sourdough bread. It's so distinct. Now, Speckled tail's got a strong coal, charcoal. So, I mean, they're probably aging it at, probably, I say probably, I don't know. They don't reveal it. At Midwest Grain Products, the old Seagram's Distillery, they have a huge barrel rooms, buildings, if you look on their website. And they're putting it in one of those barrels, probably used barrels that they buy from, well, they have their own barrels because they make their own bourbon. So it's probably their own used bourbon barrels. And they're sticking in there for 4 years, so it's getting a strong char flavor. Ancient age, nah, it's got it, but it's not so strong. But ancient age also has a higher rye content because it's coming from Sazerac and Sazerac or Buffalo Trace. You can look up greatbourbons.com. They'll talk about ancient age. And they showed 3. There may be more. There's the 80 proof I have. There's a 90 proof version, which we can't get in Louisiana. And there's also ancient age 10 star, which is aged 6 years, which I've never seen in any store. Maybe I saw it in Kentucky, but it's got a different label, like a lighter color label with the 10 stars on it. So I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge, although, and also as far as price, they're about the same, $9.99 for ancient age. You might find it on sale for $8.99 straight bourbon. And then the Speckled tail, I've seen it $10.79. I was saying $10.99, but $10.79 at every Walmart. So, and it's also sold at other stores. It's not a Walmart captive brand, but just, you know, Walmart's handling most of it. And they got it sitting right next to, setting on the shelf right next to Jack Daniels. You know, black and white label. They're trying to go after Jack Daniels buyers who maybe want to save half the money they would have to spend on Jack Daniels. Okay. Right off the bat on that nose there, you're getting strong charcoal. A rich whiskey aroma, sweet caramel, and the underlying grits. I was going to buy that Tom Moore straight bourbon whiskey. I saw it at Albertsons for $11.99 for the 1,750 milliliter bottle. But I was like, yeah, it's a great value and all of this. And William Kepley said, go for it, because, you know, you can always use it in challenges and whatever. I said, yeah, but I'll start thinking about it. I said, I just been complaining that I'm getting sick of bourbon because of that heavy corn grits. And I'm going to go buy more of it, especially a big bottle. I started thinking about it when I couldn't sleep last night. I did finally go to sleep, but I didn't get enough sleep. But daylight savings time doesn't help. But I said, I think I'm going to pass on it, as interesting as it would be. I really need to close out the bourbon for now and get into the Canadian whiskeys and the American blended whiskeys and the Scotch. I mean, there's so much of that. I'm pretty sure I can occupy my time for the next 4 years with that. This smells. I got to keep my eyes closed because I'm scared I'm going to notice. They're too distinct in their appearance. So as soon as you glance, you're going to know, right? It has some of that sourdough bread and that, but this one has a rich minty aroma, spiced aroma, which could be from rye, which means ancient age. I think this is ancient age, and I think that's Speckled tail, but I got to taste them. I don't know if this whiskey is going to make me feel better, but it ain't going to make me feel worse. Tell you one thing, it's got a strong grits flavor. And if you eat Quaker, that's white hominy grits, they probably, I'm sure they're using yellow grits. They're not using white corn. I've seen them unload the corn at the distillery. It's what they make polenta out of. What is polenta? Yellow grits. They eat that all over Europe, Eastern Europe. Give it to babies. Yeah, it's got some sourdough. I had to look a little bit. I didn't want to knock the glass off. Sourdough and some char and dried flowers and all that. You know, just like we would say a flavor commonly associated with bourbon whiskey, right? Like Ancient Age is good. It's inexpensive. But, you know, it's not remarkable. Like, oh, it's just so distinct. But for $9.99, I mean, I don't see where you could go wrong with it, honestly. Same thing with Speckled Tail. Technically not a bourbon, but in a practical sense, it is a bourbon, like early times. You see, because bourbon is a legal term more than a flavor term in some ways. Dancing Dog says, hey, Ron, are these whiskeys regional? I'm wondering if I can find these in Boston. I have no evidence that they're regional. I really don't know. I assume that Ancient Age is common everywhere because I read reviews like on Proof 66, and you're getting reviews coming in from all over the United States. So but I'll tell you how you can find out. You can call Sazerac and they'll tell you. They'll tell you where you can buy it. Like they will literally tell you, okay, here's the stores where you live that have it. Yep. They don't have a locator tool like you can do it yourself, but all you gotta do is call the number. I would call them today, you know, wait till mid-morning when they're open. The number is 1-866-729-3722. 1-866-729-3722. Very helpful. More than any company. I mean, they're like thick-headed as far as fixing the date of when the bourbon was founded. You know, oh well, no big deal. But they're extremely helpful for helping the customers track down where to find it. Now, as far as Speckled Tail, I just don't know. It's coming out from Florida. I mean, it's probably distilled in Indiana, but it's being bottled in Florida, and it's sold. Well, it's got to be national because Walmart has it, and there's another thing. I see that there's a liquor store in Minnesota, ABC Spirits. Oh, maybe it's Ace. I'm thinking of Ace Spirits. Doesn't matter. It's because it's in Minnesota, and they got an online thing. You can go to their store and buy stuff, but you can actually order it online. But so we're talking Minnesota, down in Florida, Louisiana. So yeah, they're probably national. Couldn't tell you how to figure out where to buy the Speckled Tail though, because I don't think in Boston you can. Yeah, you can't buy liquor at Walmart up there, can you? No, they have much more restrictive laws. Kind of funny how the liberal states are not as liberal as the so-called conservative states like Louisiana. That's great. I find the locator tools example. Old Milwaukee Beer One. I went to 5 places. The locator said they had it, and they hadn't even heard of Old Milwaukee. Yeah, right. Real helpful, huh? It worked for me. Now, that tool worked for me, but I think if you read carefully on those things, there's like a disclaimer at the bottom where it says, the information we provide is coming from the distributor. In other words, like you're in Massachusetts, so you looked up the locator tool, Old Milwaukee, it gave you these places. Well, if your distributor of Old Milwaukee, Pabst, Schlitz products is given old information to Old Milwaukee, Pabst, then what can you do? Luckily, Buffalo Trace, Sazerac, keeps their own database, and they'll just tap into it for you, so it solves the problem. Wall, not war. No liquor at Walmart here. But you can get booze at Trader Joe's in Massachusetts, but not in New York, which is strange. Yeah, all these states have peculiar law, you know. It's it's fine. I believe in states' rights and all of that. But I'm just saying it may not be convenient. You know, I don't believe in national solutions for local problems. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, I think it's too noticeable. This has got to be speckled tail. Now, if you like a strong, I would not say harsh. That would be incorrect. A strong, bold, full flavored charred oak experience, then speckled tail is probably going to be your thing. Now with Jack Daniels, you know, it is a little harsh, but the company gets offended if you say that. They say, no, it's bold. We were on the tour last year and some people were like, it's kind of harsh, but you know, the guy got so irate, we just dropped it, you know, but he was like trying to tell us about what we're tasting. We're like, no, we know what we're tasting. It was kind of comical because I don't know. You gotta go on a tour with that particular guy. I mean, he was like militantly defensive of Jack Daniels. I've been working for this company for 30 years, which is wonderful. I have to say, he defended the brand, man. That must be in their training, you know, defend the brand at all costs. We got enough customers. We don't care if you offend a few people on the tour. Then they'll probably still buy it anyway. But he went after those Scottish guys, man. So we're getting slammed with snow here, making me break out Miller Lite for breakfast. I don't recommend that. I drink 3 cups of coffee for breakfast. Well, it's been about 46 degrees at night here. Very clear, dry, low humidity, and about 65 during the daytime. So that's where we stand in Louisiana, right? Okay. You know, this has got to be Ancient Age, and this has got to be Speckled Tail. Ancient Age is mellow, mild, sweet, sugary, a little spicy, minty. You know, it's just too mellow to be Speckled Tail. And this one's too sharp or bold or strong to not be Speckled Tail. But let's look at the appearance. Next time, check your tags, man. I don't know. Ancient Age. But, okay, so I had them flipped. So I'm saying, okay. Wow. Well, now we got to go for broke to correct this mistake. But I'm nitpicking it to death anyway. I mean, it's a tie in flavor. I mean, as far as enjoyment and quality, it's a tie. So if you flip a coin and say heads, I'm getting Speckled Tail, and tails, I'm getting Ancient Age, you can't lose. You can't lose. You know what I mean? It's not like, well, this one's kind of all right. No, it's like they're both really good. So the lesson this morning, folks, 2 lessons. If an administrator tells you the meeting's 2 or 3 minutes, don't believe it. Of course, you'll still get aggravated because you know these people are stealing your time. And it's funny because the meeting last night literally could have lasted 2 or 3 minutes from the content that was given out. Secondly, the second lesson is, can you get a cheap whiskey that tastes really good? Yeah, you certainly can. I did it right this time. Speckled Tail, Ancient Age. Okay, just double check. You say, you're just using that as an excuse to drink more whiskey in the morning. No, I'm not. All right. Yeah, it's so sweet and mild and caramel. It's so strong in charcoal. I swear, I think Caribbean distillers really tried to make a mimic Jack Daniels. And they succeeded to a large extent. But I mean, the proof in the pudding is going to come when I put it up against Jack Daniels No. 7 and Old No. 7, right? Yeah. Black label and green label. That's when it's going to really make a difference. Okay, so last chance here. Oh, yeah, it's just too. It's got that sourdough. Like they say, it's mild and mellow. I mean, Ancient Age is really, to a large extent, it's like a low-profile bourbon. It's not bland like Barton, though. Barton is just a little too low-profile. So it's mild like Barton, but it has enough character to not just be laying there all boring and blah, you know. Oh, I mean, this Speckled tail is really amazing. I mean, it's got such a strong charcoal burn, not burn, presentation. I don't know what you call it. What do you call it? Flavor, charred wood. Oh man, I'll tell you what, it's something. I don't think I would ever buy Jack Daniels again if I could get Speckled tail. You say, when are you going to buy Jack Daniels again? Probably never, because every time I buy a whiskey I've already had, that means I can't buy one I've never had before, right? Just like brandy. I'm not going to buy Paul Masson, even though it's very good, Grand Amber, because that means there's something else I could have bought. So, you know, it's not like beer where you can buy a little bottle and you do a revisit because it, you know, and you drink it. And, you know, so with the spirits, you just kind of like go around once and you don't come back again. Okay, what do you think? Okay, so that's it. Thai is just whatever you prefer. If you prefer milder, mellow, the sourdough bread, kind of corn, grits kind of thing. But the Speckled tail has that too. Or if you prefer the stronger charred wood, quasi Jack Daniels type flavor, then Speckled tail. So there's no winners here and no losers. Okay. But I was able to tell them apart, even though I mixed up the labeling at first, but that was easily corrected. So okay. Why do you think snobs make fun of Canadian Club? I find it to be just fine myself. I wasn't aware that snobs made fun of Canadian Club, honestly, but I would believe that. Well, probably if they do make fun of it, it's probably because it's mass produced, which is always a no-no. It's like music snobs, right? They love a band because it's obscure and only a few people have heard of the band, and it's like our little private group that we love. And then they become famous, they make a big album, they get a hit, and they start hating them. They sold out, they sold out. That same kind of mentality, you know. So Canadian Club's always been a mass-produced whiskey. It's owned by Brown-Forman, the makers of Jack Daniels. You know, that same kind of thing. So, you know, you get these big companies and the people hate on them. They hate them because because people know about it. Well, I think that's the reason. I think it's a great whiskey. Just like you, I love Canadian Club. You might, now some of the viewers might say, you like Budweiser. True. But it's like, I had this group on Facebook called Rock and Roll Club. So you always get these music snobs that join. Yeah, I remember some buddies of mine loved Everclear, the band, until they went major. Right, it's the same thing. Like, you can always sniff out the music snobs. Like, you'll say, you'll make a post like Fleetwood Mac, Over My Head, 1975. You know, you just know they're coming. Here they come. Oh, that's when Fleetwood Mac started to suck. When Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham joined, I never could stand that. Pop music. They were never the same after Peter Green left. It's the same. I liked them better when they were blues music and they weren't as accessible, you know, the same old. I was like, oh, here we go. And I tell them, I say, I knew you were going to say that. And secondly, that is not the fault of the band that Peter Greenbaum went insane, okay? He literally went insane. He was not able to function. He could not do a music career. He basically stayed at his house the rest of his life up until today. And, you know, the blues snobs are the worst. You know, they joined Rock and Roll Club. Like, this is the true story. I want to join Rock and Roll Club. I said, okay. They always post blues and only blues music. Okay, good. All right. And then they'll tell you, I hate. What did they say? It's like, something's wrong with this club. Nobody appreciates this obscure blues artist who I saw and met personally in 1987 at this club in Minnesota. And he was really nice to me. And we talked a while about the blues. I'm like, that's great. So my question is, why did you join a rock club and then get mad that people weren't interested in obscure blues music? Couldn't you start your own Facebook group called Blues Music? Or they'll post country music, like endless country music. This is real music. I said, I never heard of this country star. Oh, well, he's not appreciated. I never even seen his records. Oh, yeah, he had a contract with Klondike Records of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Oh, okay. This is real country music, not that garbage. You know, I was like, ah, wow. So they get on a rock group and they want to hate on country, you know, mainstream country music, which I don't care about. I'm not interested in mainstream country music. But I just think, did you understand the concept of this group, or is there something wrong here? All right. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, boy. All right. So that's it. Well, my other group is called Alcohol Eggs, which involves any alcoholic beverage. So it'd be hard for them to put something up there that doesn't fit. Now, if they start doing posts for Pepsi Cola, I'll just delete the post, you know. But nobody yet has been that stupid that joined. I hate that. Dancing Dog says, I hate that. Buddies of mine crap on me for listening to Johnny Rivers. All of his stuff, not only the early stuff. And I love Budweiser. I've never had a beer that's as fresh. You know, it's the same thing, you know. It's the freshest beer on the market. It is. Well, yeah, you know, like Miller beer, they're notorious for not checking dates. Whereas the Budweiser people are notorious for checking dates. Like, they always check dates. But you can go to these stores and find Miller brands that are like almost expired or have been expired for a couple of months. And they're just lax in that. I'm sorry. I like Miller. I like their yeast profile. I like their house style and all of that. But I'm sorry, Anheuser-Busch has got it going on when it comes to checking dates, okay? You can say what you want. They are very good at checking dates. Very good. They send their own people in. They don't trust the store. They know the store ain't going to check. They know the bar room ain't going to check. They know the bar room's going to use an old tap. They're never going to clean the lines. You know what I mean? They don't care. So Anheuser-Busch has their own system in place. They check their own tap lines. They check their own tap temperature. They check their own keg dates. They check their own canned and bottled beer. And they're not playing games. If these stores, if these bar rooms want to be stupid, they'll yank the stuff out the bar room. And then if they have no Bud Light, their bar room will go out of business in a month. So they're scared of them. I've had some old Miller and an old Pabst. Same little story. I love those beers, but once I bought PBR that was almost a year old. It's happened to me so many times. I don't want to get started because that is a common irritation. Anytime I'm buying a Miller, I check the bottom. I'll look. Oh, July 2018. Good date. You know, but I'll check, you know. Paps, well, they're made by Miller usually, so you check the date. Anheuser-Busch, it's going to be fresh. 99 out of 100, you know, 90 out of 100 times, 99 out of 100 times. Miller, it's a 50-50 shot. Okay, all right, so enough of that. A tie here. Now, what's coming up next? I think Thursday, and hopefully I'll have more sleep and feel better. I feel fine, really, but, you know, within context, I'll feel better than today. We'll try to do Speckled Tail against Kentucky Tavern. Now, that really might be a regional product. I don't know if you can find Kentucky Tavern in Massachusetts, which is sad because it's probably one of the better ones that's coming out of Buffalo Trace, really. And it's only $10.99 for a liter. You heard me? $10.99 for a liter of straight bourbon. Boy, that's a dynamite. I don't think, well, sorry, Speckled Tail. I don't think you're going to be able to hang with Kentucky Tavern, but you don't know until you do the challenge. So anyway, I did a beer review already. I posted that. I got the Cuddy Sark review coming up tomorrow and the examination tomorrow night, so that should be exciting. Get ready because the Cuddy Sark review is long, but I couldn't rush through it. Okay, well, that's it for now, I guess. All right, thanks for watching this video production.